Well, Dave, welcome to Newport County. How big a decision was it to leave Manchester United's academy to come here?
I guess you build up a relationship with people, and that makes the decision a challenge. But having spoken to the chairman on a couple of occasions, it was a straightforward decision for me, really, in terms of the challenge that we've got and what's ahead of us, and his view of where he wants to take the club. Is how he likes the game to be played is very similar to myself. So yeah, never an easy decision to leave somewhere, particularly such a great organisation, such a great football club. But I'm excited by what we have in front of us here.
Because you were headhunted by Manchester United, so that must have played on your mind as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess I'm not somebody that likes to speak too much about myself. I think I've thoroughly enjoyed. I've worked with some outstanding people, outstanding coaches. More important than the coaching part is that what they represent and what they stand for. I think it's probably world leading in terms of you look at the players that have been developed, and not just for that club, but for other clubs. So yeah, I feel very fortunate to have worked at such an institution in development, and now I feel the time is right to step across into senior football, and I'm excited by what I've learned working with some outstanding people over not just the last 3 years, but the last 20. I have my own view on the game, on standards and the culture of successful teams, and that's something over time we'll definitely be looking to reinforce here.
How your history has been after being a player, you've worked in academies, you've worked at youth level. How much of a leap is it to become a football league manager? Because there are only 92.
Yeah, well, I guess everybody in every football club in the country is trying to evolve and improve. Evolve and improving is developing. So there's definitely some similarities in what that environment looks like. Winning is essential. We all know that. We're all aware of the importance and significance of that. And so I guess to answer your question, there's some similarities and there's some pressures that are always consistent. I think you always put pressure on yourself to ensure you're delivering what's expected. Here, there's an expectation to deliver every day for the staff and the players, every game for the players here, and we have a duty to ensure that we're entertaining supporters here on a Saturday and a Tuesday.
You know what fans are like. What you've done at the youth level has been terrific. But we talk about the step up, and you don't have experience of this, do you? How much of it is it going to be a learning experience for you, and how ready are you for this?
I feel ready. I absolutely 100% feel ready. I think the coaching team that we have is really important in having an understanding of every area of the game. I'm delighted with the staff that the club have and that we're bringing in as part of that coaching team. So there's no fear from my perspective. There's an excitement. There's a real clarity in expectations of what we would demand from players on a daily basis. What we do every day will definitely have an impact on what happens on the weekend. So yeah, I think I suppose in summary, real clarity in what success needs to look like, real clarity in how we're going to measure that success, and then also the standards that we're going to hold the players to account to.
Come back to that in a moment. You talk about your staff. Wayne Hatswell returning to the club, so he does bring experience. Was that important?
Yeah, absolutely. You when you see head coaches, managers appointed, I've always looked at the staff. I've always thought of having different skill sets is really important. Wayne's skill set is we have some similarities, we have some differences. That's really important. So his experience will be essential in key moments and key times when we're working together. Similarly, Lee Kendall, who's coming in as well. I think what that illustrates is the importance of understanding that there's a staff who really, really have a handle on what the club means to the community. That's really important for me. That's really important for the staff that we've brought in, and hopefully that as a coaching team that excites the supporters to buy into what we aspire to achieve.
So for clarity, I assume they were your choices in conjunction with Hugh, or
Yeah.
did he say these are who you're having?
No, I spoke to Hugh around coaching team, and I felt, having observed, like I said, other coaches, other managers, the coaching teams they brought in, having experience of a member of the team who's worked significantly at the level was invaluable. I put that to the chairman around Wayne Hatswell, and then in fairness to Lee's a goalkeeper coach, but also an equally qualified coach. So as a trio, I'm excited by what we can work together. There'll be a great responsibility on the three of us to ensure that we are guiding, challenging, and pushing to deliver a style of play that people are excited about coming to see.
What ambition has Hugh set you? What targets has he set you? What will be success?
So success should always be about progress. So we have to be showing progress from the season that's just ended. That's the first marker of success, I think, for us as a coaching team. Where that stems from is the environment and the culture that we foster with the players and the demands we place on them on a daily basis. It runs deeper than just a Saturday. I think the targets of success, we need to be better. I think that's not just in points, that's just, I guess, in terms of how we see the game as a group from a structure of the team, from some markers of success to say, well, actually, if we hit these markers on a consistent basis, then we stand a really good chance of winning. I guess, that every chairman, every owner is expectant of success. Number of debuts were given last year. We've discussed the squad and what we have and what we'd like in terms of moving forward. So as a club, as a team of staff, we're really, really excited and optimistic.
Well, having finished, what was it, one above the bottom two, with less points than the season before, you'd feel the only way is up. I mean, it's not, but do you know what I'm saying?
It needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's the how. How are we going to do that? What is it that's going to look like? We're really clear as a group of staff what that needs to look like for the players. So it needs to feel different, it needs to look different to win games. Winning games happens in different styles, in different manners. We all have an understanding of what it needs to look like on a good day, but we also need to be aware of that. We need to win in situations where it's difficult away from home, difficult to play against in terms of set plays, ensuring that we are really well organised and really difficult to play against is essential. And then within that, to try and layer things on from there. But there'll be no doubt for me, part one is difficult to play against, really organised, real clarity in the expectations and how we'll measure success. And then from there, I'm a great believer that if the performance levels are right, then over time, the results will take care of themselves.
So I've no doubt you've been watching DVDs of, they don't do videos anymore, do they? But, the action from last season. You've got a bit of a time, I'm sure, to look at the squad. Where is it as you walk in?
I guess that's really.
I mean, the league table never lies.
No.
So,
no.
But what is your assessment of the squad?
It's difficult to evaluate because you would suggest that maybe with 10, 12 games to go, I think Newport were 10 points off the playoffs and 10 or 12 points from the bottom of the table. So it wasn't at that point in time. You were thinking with some optimism, okay, let's look at where the next set of results and fixtures go. For whatever reason, results didn't
There's a
move.
drop-off.
Yeah, there's a drop-off. Results didn't go in the way that the club would have hoped. So what you have to do is give people an opportunity. And as a group of staff, we have to look at. I think I have my own ideas of maybe why and what that was, what the consequence of that might have been. But I'm definitely of the opinion that you have to give people an opportunity to prove themselves. You have to give people an opportunity to show that they have the capability to perform and win at the level. And from there, some strong decisions will be made moving forward, which I have no issue making. So we've discussed the squad, we've discussed what we feel the squad needs, and yeah, we're like I said to you, we're excited and optimistic. This is just for me personally, it's a real exciting opportunity, and one I can assure you I will do absolutely everything to make sure we're successful here.
People who saw Newport last season and the way that Hugh Jenkins operated last summer, the emphasis on bringing youngsters in, it's a model that he perfected at Swansea. But how important is a balance of experience as well? And is a bit more experience on the agenda for recruitment this summer?
Yeah, we've spoke. So we have to be careful when we talk about experience because the perception is age. What we need with experience is you're looking at games and levels. So that experience is, I guess, for me, would be someone who's understanding of what the level looks like, what the style needs to look like. Is there somebody that we can identify that can come in and accelerate how we'd like to play? So absolutely, there's some, I guess, individuals to come in who will excite and energize with real positivity, positive body language, relentless in their desire and quest to win ultimately, and then sitting to ensure that success happens with a combative resilience. That's what this club's all about. You look at the history, the resilience and the ability to come back from difficult situations. Is something we will be stressing to the players that our supporters will expect to see. Positive body language, a willingness to press, to counter press, to be difficult to play against, and ensuring that our home games are really difficult for the opposition when they come here.
Yeah, you use that phrase a lot, be difficult to play against. And I suppose, again, the table doesn't lie, conceded too many goals last season. So what will a David Hughes team look like? Well, so what can you tell the fans about, right, this is the very least you can expect from a David Hughes side?
Well, that's a big question. I guess first thing is we're not reinventing the wheel. There'll be some markers we will set the group in pre-season as measures of success that we will look to instill when we're working on the grass, and those will be physical, those will be technical, and those will be tactical. And there's also a point in time where I think I might mention it, that to win games sometimes you have to suffer. It's not always smooth, easy on the eye. When we're good, what do we look like? When it's a difficult day, how do we still measure progress? And those markers that for me need to be evident all the time should be there every day. They don't just come to the fore on the weekend. They're in place every time we're working together on the grass. So the coaching environment will be really demanding. We want to make it enjoyable, but we need to make sure that we're implementing some real clear ideas that the players are, one, enjoying, two, can see the success of, and ultimately they can see that they're progressing as individuals and as a team. Ultimately over time. You've alluded to the league table. We want that to look healthier and to look more positive from the start. We know it's not going to be easy. That's part of the challenge. That's part of what the excitement comes here. And I guess the last bit for me is we just want to see the supporters cheering, enjoying coming on a weekend. I've been here many times over the years, and there's an expectation of what they will demand to see. The bit for me is that has to be evident all the time, and then there's adding some layers on top of that over a significant period of time as we progress.
Have you had chance to assess the squad um, and particularly, have you spoken to any of the players who are out of contract who the club are negotiating with,
No,
or you're leaving that day?
I'm not spoken to the players. I think that's really it would be really difficult having not been here to make decisions on individuals who are out of contract. I've watched a number of games from last season online to get an idea of who's here, what we've got. So I think there's definitely a sense that we want to try and progress and evolve. Our conversations around the squad have been really clear, as with Hugh and the chairman, I should call him now, not Hugh, and also the staff. So yeah, we're clear. But like I say, you have to give people an opportunity. I'm a great believer. It comes down to belief and opportunity. So somebody's got to believe in you, and then somebody has to give you an opportunity. So it would be remiss to write anybody off before we've seen them, before we've given them a chance to impress. We'll make those decisions as they come through, but equally we're aware that we need to supplement with some experience to ensure that how we want to play becomes really, really effective.
So you've obviously started work already because you've been watching games from last season and looking at things as you'd expect. When does it get down to brass tacks for you?
Well,
and your
it
team
probably already has. I think in our discussions around players returning, what pre-season needs to look like, some of the considerations around the planning, around the meetings that we need to have to illustrate us and what we believe in, and ensure that we're driving that message and promoting to the squad of how we need to see, what we expect to see. Around standards, that's the first thing. Standards of and expectations every day. There'll be no let up for me when it comes to, and equally Wayne and Lee and Tristan and Scott, the staff as well. We will be relentless in our quest to ensure that we're driving the highest standards. We draw the line at certain points which are non-negotiable, and then it's up to the staff to hold the line. And successful teams have absolute clarity in what expectation needs to look like. Our job from day one is to ensure we're delivering that clarity and expectation.
When you're at United, at least one player arrived here at Newport from the Manchester United Academy. I mean, dare I ask, is that a source that you could be tapping up again? Given your contacts?
Yeah, well, you'd hope so. I think I go back to our conversation. We have to evaluate what we have, and from there, very, very quickly. So within 2 or 3 weeks after we've had that time to look at individuals within the squad, then think about what does first game of the season look like. We're having those discussions as a group of staff. We've got a pre-season that's almost mapped out, really, in terms of a schedule and games. We've brought that forward a little bit because we felt that we wanted more time to work with the players to reinforce the points that we've just shared. So loans for every club in League Two are really, really important, and further up the pyramid system. We know that. And so, yes, we will definitely look to utilise those loans. And it's, again, I go back to, it's where and in which individuals and what areas of the pitch we really feel we need to reinforce when that time is right.
So you're bringing in the players earlier than they were scheduled to.
We've
told them?
We've put the pre-season forward, or brought it forward, whichever way you want to think about it. But yeah, we've brought that forward so that we're coming back in a little bit earlier. They'll have had a good break from this season to draw a line on it and reflect on themselves and their performances. And we're excited to see them coming back in and implement our ideas, implement our standards and beliefs, with an expectation that we have just over 6 weeks to get the group ready for the first game of the season with a really, really difficult and challenging pre-season.
You excited?
Yeah, absolutely excited. I think when I've pretty much spent my life in football, really. briefly as a player, as a coach, which you've alluded to. I've lost count of how many games of football I've watched, and I continue to watch weekly. It's the most exciting job. I don't see it as a job. I'm passionate about trying to improve myself, trying to improve people. I've got real clarity in what I think success needs to look like. There's no doubt really that's black and white for me. So I'm absolutely excited. I can't wait for the first game of the season. I'm accepting it's going to be difficult. We know every coach, manager in the country will have the same optimism. We're no different. So yeah, let's strap ourselves in. Let's have a great time. Let's enjoy ourselves, but understanding that it's going to be difficult. Provide some solutions for players to encounter the problems that they're going to face, and let's enjoy it.
And you've almost answered what was going to be one of my last questions. What is your message to Newport fans? Like how much can this club sort of achieve?
Well, first thing is when you come here. I've been here a number of times when it's got momentum, and it's not an easy place to come as an opponent. You know, you come and see the atmosphere, and that goes back to what the supporters here expect. Some sweat on the shirt, some commitment, some positivity, some energy, a relentlessness to never be beaten. And from there, that has to be the prerequisite. So that has to be the absolute platform of every time we set foot on the pitch. Everybody makes mistakes, we know that. But the key bit is how that happens. And then the final part is, you know, I think I've said it, on a good day, all of those characteristics need to be evident in every performance. When a player pulls on a Newport County shirt, they have to know what it stands for. And we're representing the people of Newport. As a group of staff, we're in a position to ensure that we're leaving a footprint for other people to follow. And that footprint needs to be evident in what the local community means to the club, and how ingrained it is. And we have to make sure that that badge stands for something. And when we turn up on a Saturday, wherever we are across the country, everybody knows it's going to be a difficult afternoon, and we're going to make it difficult. We're going to be difficult to play against. That's absolutely something which I feel strongly about. That's got to be the backbone of what our team is. And then from there, we've got to implement our style on the game. So hopefully that's a long-winded answer to your question, Rob. But yeah, let's see. Let's have a really good, strong pre-season. Let's have a look at the players. Let's see how they come back. Let's challenge them. Let's support them, and provide real clarity in what the expectations are of the club and the staff.
All the best.
Cheers, Rob.